Of all the animals, man is the only one that is cruel. He is the only one that inflicts pain for the pleasure of doing it, says Mark Twain. He who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with man. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. The man who kills the animals today is the man who kills the people who get in his way tomorrow. Hello everyone, KJ here, going to tackle a very serious subject at the end of 2024. I wanted to be able to express some of my thoughts and opinions on animal cruelty in America. I know this is a little bit different for some of y'all, and I just hope that you'll take the time to possibly get a little justice through understanding. You see it all the time, y'all. The news headlines. Manatee County, Florida. A jury trial has been set for a former Hardy County deputy and former police officer accused of abusing a dog at his pet care business. The owner of Possum Sitters, Nicholas Zotto, has previously been charged with animal cruelty after investigators uncovered a video showing cruelty toward a dog named Grizzly. And that was in Florida. What about Alabama? A Colbert County woman was found guilty in an animal cruelty trial on Thursday. Deborah Catledge's case goes back to 2023 when deputies said they found dead horses and over 60 malnourished dogs and horses on her property. How about Texas? A former Texas A&M veterinarian has been charged with animal cruelty after investigators uncovered a video showing cruelty toward a dog. The trial started 2 weeks ago against Ashley Watts, a former Texas A&M University vet, who also used a cattle prod on a horse in her care. The incident happened in 2019 and she was indicted in 2021. An animal cruelty trial for a Tulsa dog groomer. Video showed the dog being beaten and it later died. It happened last year at a shop called Doggy Doodles in Tulsa. Prosecutors charged Diego Angel with animal cruelty. A big piece of evidence is the surveillance video from the shop. And those are just some. If you type in animal cruelty cases or trials, you will be overloaded. And the reason I'm bringing this to everyone's attention is here in the crime genre community, I cannot count how many times people have said in the comments, you know, how terrible humans are to humans and how these children end up murdered and in dumpsters or worse, like over there in Idaho. Think about how man has been to man. And we all watch these trials to try to get a little justice, to try to understand how evil could be the way it is. But I want to focus in on animal cruelty because really, if you think about it, it has everything to do with the crime genre community. There has been well-documented links between animal cruelty and other crimes, including violence against humans. Serial killers, y'all. Serial killers, the FBI research shows that many serial killers tortured animals as children. Other serial killers such as Ted Bundy, Charles Manson, and Jeffrey Dahmer also began their violent behavior with animals. School shooters and mass murderers. FBI research indicates that most school shooters and mass murderers tortured animals as children. Domestic violence, y'all. How many times have there been reports of a man, it could be a woman too, but mostly men, that want to get to their significant other through their pets, through their fur babies. They torture and threaten to kill the animal just to keep the woman in line. Children who experience abuse are more likely to perpetuate abuse themselves, often starting with cruelty toward animals. Other violent offenses. People who abuse animals are 5 times more likely to commit violence against humans, y'all. Moreover, FBI research indicates that most serial killers, school shooters, and mass murderers tortured animals as children, as I've said before. Another form of abuse is dogfighting, is also tied to criminal behavior beyond the harm of animals. However, and I don't know how you have a however, but however, many researchers agree that a lack of empathy, education early in life, combined with extreme childhood abuse, may contribute to later acts of violence against animals and people. So I was like, okay, well, for the last 5 years, the Rays and I and others have been dipping into different criminal cases, murderers. Melody Ferris, for instance, right? She can shoot and murder her husband and throw his body on a burn pile. But yet it came out in defense testimony at her trial that she would rather trap a bug and let it go outside. She wouldn't harm a flea. Then you've got people like Lori, who, for profit only, for money, because that's all she was about, wanted to sell JJ's service dog. Now, she didn't kill the dog. She didn't kill the dog. And the dog went on to be with other special needs people. She found out she couldn't make money off the dog, but she didn't get Alex to take that dog out in the desert and shoot it like Alex has been known to do with other animals. The ticker of it all, y'all, she didn't kill JJ's service dog, but she sure as hell, her and Alex and Chad, didn't have a damn problem at all murdering those innocent children and Tammy. Now try to wrap that around your head. A Department of Justice study, y'all. They studied 5 serial killers who were identified as having engaged in childhood animal cruelty. This is fact. The cases selected were chosen largely because of the amount of information available on the subjects. The case studies selected were those of Carol Edward Cole, Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer, Edmund Emil Kemper III, Henry Lee Lucas, and Arthur Sawcross. In the case of numerous serial murders, episodes of prolonged humiliation have been shown to exist during their childhood. This humiliation can eventually transform into frustration for the child. Since the source of humiliation and frustration is often from one or both parents, it's difficult for the child to gain retribution for the humiliation. After a substantial amount of humiliation and frustration, the children seek other means of venting their frustrations to regain their dignity and sense of self. The 5 serial murderers in the current study all turned to animals to vent their anger. The persons who caused the frustration were perceived as too powerful to hurt, so they chose weak and vulnerable animals. Within the framework of the graduation hypothesis, children who are cruel to animals may graduate to aggressive behaviors toward humans. It can be assumed that if killing animals made them feel powerful under a persistent psychological state of powerlessness and low self-esteem, coupled with rage, then killing would become a pattern for resolving intolerable mental states. It is interesting that the 5 serial killers examined in this study used the same method of killing their human as they used with their animal victims. as you move forward to get your justice through understanding or whatever the heck you want to do, these trials that you will be watching or the ones that you've seen in the past, this is an opportunity to learn a little bit about something that as you go down the road to learn from these trials, the thing that can most really pop out is, was there any form of animal cruelty? Was there anything in there that shows, was there any testimony? Was there anything in an affidavit? Anything that could prove the animal cruelty aspect? So going from there, I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? Everybody gets all freaked out and very upset when it comes to these animal cruelty cases or things that people do. I think a while back, Justin Lum had done a lot of investigative reporting on these dogs that were being kept and how they were taken away and all of this. And do you really ever see any trials of animal cruelty? Have you ever, just like a criminal murder case? Most of the time, y'all, these cases of animal cruelty, and I call it animal murder because it's really about what is in here. Why did this person do this? They get settled. And we all, I think to some degree, think that if there's a trial for humans killing humans, and this is, some of it is for justice, but it's also for what? A deterrent. And people are watching these trials and they say, well, you know, I would never murder anybody. Well, I think they should put in the forefront these prosecutors need to start taking this shit all the way, so that people can see these trials. Now, I don't think you do or anyone else want to see autopsy photos of animals. And it wouldn't be shown anyway, just as it wouldn't, it would be to the jury and anyone in the courtroom, I guess, unless the judge had a stipulation that only the jurors could see. Folks, the bottom line is it can't be that provocative or controversial to hear about animals being tortured and murdered any more than humans murdering and torturing humans. But for some reason, people think, well, you know, animals are innocent. They didn't ask for any of this or anything like that. Folks, humans, in my opinion, are far more valuable than animals. But that doesn't mean that the animals should be treated any less. It just means, in my faith and all of that, you know, we were created in the image of God. All right? And so we have a responsibility. All of us have a responsibility. Whether you believe in God, whether you're just a normal everyday person who's atheist or whatever, agnostic, to love the animals that are here on this earth. Now, I love fried chicken. I love pork chops. I like ribeye steaks. And for anyone to say, well, KJ, it's cruel to slaughter these animals and all this and that and eat meat, and you should become a vegan. Well, I'll tell you right now, and I'm only going to talk about this briefly. That would mean that if that's the standard, and that the only way to really be able to talk about animal cruelty is to say, I would never slaughter an animal for food or anything else, those vegans would have to say that these animals out here in the animal world that are carnivores, that are carnivorous, that something's wrong with them. I'm not comparing human beings to animals, but I am saying this. Animals do think, they do feel, and it's all about the motive behind it. Why have I even gone here? Why am I even talking about this? Well, it goes back to the whole foundational question, and that is, How are we as a society going to continue to allow these things to happen, not only to human beings, murdering children, and now we're talking about animals. We cannot control the wickedness of this world. We cannot control. All we can do is set laws. And there are laws in all 50 states here, y'all, for animal cruelty. 49 of those 50 states have an option in their laws that it can be a felony. Tennessee is the only state in the union that absolutely has an animal cruelty registry. A lot like, those registries for those sex offenders. Well, Tennessee's the only one. Now, other states are trying to get this all developed. But let's talk about something that's probably going to really burn your biscuits. But before I go there, let me just say this. As of December 2020, only Tennessee had a statewide animal abuse registry. However, several states have introduced bills to create registries, including Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, South Carolina, Virginia, Washington, and West Virginia. In the absence of state-run registries, some independent animal interest groups have created their own registries. Registries would collect and publish the names of people convicted of animal abuse, along with other information such as aliases, addresses, and places of employment. The information would be posted online. Some say that registries can help protect the public and ensure that animals get a good home. And just look at the far-reaching picture of that. If people were on registries who had been charged and convicted of animal cruelty, whether a misdemeanor or a felony, that law enforcement could keep track of that. Because why? We just talked about it. Some of these studies show these serial killers, as children, they had animal cruelty, even up into their adult life. If you are someone convicted of animal cruelty, by God, the law enforcement agencies need to have you on the radar, because anyone that would be cruel and torturous and murderous toward an innocent dog, cat, bird, fish, whatever, keeping track of animal abusers would help protect not just the animals of a community, but the humans as well. So if people don't want to really look at how important it is to protect the animals, they need to know that this helps the humans. Animal cruelty poses a definite risk to the community and society as a whole. Intentional animal cruelty is a particular concern, as it is a sign of psychological distress and often indicates an individual may be predisposed to committing acts of violence toward humans. Maintaining a registry of individuals convicted of felony animal cruelty will help protect the animals and humans of a state where such a registry exists. Makes all the sense in the world, but I say take it one step further. I'm saying not just felony. I'm talking about misdemeanor. I told all y'all on the community post that I had gotten Midnight back from being spayed. And just the day before that, because I didn't put two and two together at the time, something I read outraged me so bad. And when I read it, I wasn't thinking, sometimes when we think about these murders that go on and stuff with human to human and stuff, we think, oh God, that family must be just totally just devastated, and what it would be like if I lost my child and all of this and that. I wasn't thinking about, when I read what I read, I wasn't thinking of Midnight or my other 4 cats. I wasn't thinking, oh my God, could you imagine if something like this happened to one of my pets? Y'all, this is going to burn your biscuits. United States Senator Rand Paul out of Kentucky, which is a state above us. Every year, at the end of the year, he comes out with this, basically a synopsis on terrible government spending, right? He comes out with it, and he wants and it's fact. It's not nothing political or nothing. He comes out with it down to the number the taxpayers are paying. Senator Paul, who has a history of opposing unnecessary experimentation using animals, highlighted one study funded by the Department of Defense. It was the Advanced Research Project Agency, and it was taxpayer funded at $10,851,439. Okay? If you're in America, you are funding this. I want you to know there ain't no two ways about it. According to the White Coat Waste Project watchdog, researchers at the University of Pittsburgh sliced open the backs of male cats to expose their spinal cords and then inserted electrodes to fire off electric shocks while the incision was still open to cause the cats to have an erection. The report claims the cats were sometimes shocked up to 10 minutes at a time before the cats had their spinal cords severed to paralyze their lower bodies. Another experiment highlighted in the report involved shocking cat spinal cords to force them to defecate marbles that were inserted into their rectums. Your hard-earned money, nearly $11 million of it, was spent on experiments that would be more at home in a dystopian novel than the real world, says Rand Paul. It's a grim reminder that when left unchecked, government spending can drift into the realms and defy common sense. Rand Paul also was critical of the National Institutes of Health, y'all. This is your taxpayer money. Spending $1,513,299 since 2019 on experiments where kittens, are strapped to a hydraulic table that tilts and spins in all directions in an effort to induce severe motion sickness. During these experiments, the report says some kittens have parts of their brains removed while they're still alive, leaving them devoid of cognitive function. In summary, Rand Paul says, imagine the suffering, the disorientation, the utter helplessness these animals must feel. And it's all being done with your money. More than $1.5 million of it. Now, folks, we have individuals all over the country that are being held responsible for their own personal animal cruelty cases. And we have seen a correlation between that and growing up, being cruel to animals in childhood, also adults being cruel to animals and ending up murdering people. But now we have government institutes that do these things. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all. This is the other side of the coin. Okay? This is the other side of the coin. Animal experimentation can be beneficial for a number of reasons. And it can, because it's been proven. But I say that not all animal experimentation. The hell with these damn cosmetic companies. They want to make people pretty, don't they? They want to make people pretty with their makeup and their shampoos and all that bullshit. And they want to test it on animals. Oh, if the eyeshadow gets in this cute little dog's eye, it could blind them, and so we can't give that to humans, but we'll do this on a damn precious little dog. Or, oh, let's just take this sweet little cat and put some of this shampoo that we're trying to market it because we want to make all kind of damn money. We want to market it to humans, but we've got to test it out on cats or rabbits or whatever, mice. We want to do it to make sure, because if they start swelling up in a rash and if somehow it gets into their bloodstream and kills their ass, we can't put this out for humans, but we can do it to animals. But with that being said, animals are susceptible to many of the same health problems as humans in a lot of areas, including cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. Studying these diseases in animals can help researchers develop treatments and cures. There's proven research. I couldn't believe it. I just scratched the surface of it. But cancer therapy, Herceptin, a humanized mouse protein, has helped increase breast cancer survival rates. AIDS therapy, highly active antiretroviral therapies have helped make AIDS less deadly. Vaccines, y'all. Vaccines against polio, TB, meningitis, and HPV have been developed using animal research. Heart disease treatments. Dogs have been important to the development of open heart surgery, pacemakers, and heart transplants. But where do you draw the line on research? I mean, yes, Rand Paul can come out here and say, this is what they're doing to these cats. But he doesn't say what the research is. He doesn't say why they're torturing and hurting these animals. Because of animal research, animal testing can help establish safe doses for human clinical trials and identify potential side effects. Again, it's the sacrificial nature of animal experimentation that has yielded some good results. But folks, I'm telling you, these government entities and even these private freaking big pharma and all of that, they are doing stuff, and most of it, I guarantee you, most of it after they tortured and killed these animals doesn't produce shit, doesn't do anything. I guess the question is well, before they were able to get a vaccine for breast cancer patients or polio or meningitis, how long was there a trial and error period there? Animals have shorter lifespans than humans, so researchers can study processes like aging at a faster pace. In other words, these animals, from when they're born, these scientists can look at their whole lifespan, folks. Let's just be clear. Human beings are not dogs or cats or birds or horses or sheep or anything like that. Human beings, every human being is unique in and of themselves, much less us being Homo sapiens, humanity, human beings, however you want to phrase it. Animal research has contributed to many medical advances and treatments. However, some argue that the benefits to humans don't justify the harm caused to animals. Some say that animal experimentation is acceptable if suffering is minimized in all experiments, and they better damn well do something about these experiments over there at the University of Pittsburgh. That is disgraceful. To put these cats through that, it is pathetic, it is evil, and it's wrong. There has to be acceptable, whether it's through FDA, whatever the hell regulatory agency it is. They've got to find a way, if they're going to do this for humanity, to find answers to cancer or whatever. They've got to do it ethically. Animal experimentation is acceptable because the human benefits are gained that could not be obtained by using other methods. I don't know of any other methods other than the sadness of the sacrificial aspects of animals. It's hard to argue when there is proof positive because of animal experimentation that there have been treatments and vaccines and things of that sort. The big question for me is what does God think about this? Does God want us to use the animals in this way in order to help ourselves and our longevity? Let me tell you what. Nobody's going to live forever on this earth. This whole damn quality of life shit. This let me live to be 90 and 100 at what cost? Because we're all going to die. And if an animal has a shorter lifespan, give it to them. Let them have their shorter lifespan. If it's not for sustenance, in terms of people that eat animals, if it's not something that can be regulated, and we're talking taxpayer funded, y'all. These animals need some protections. And you've got all these groups out here in the stratosphere of the United States and all over the world that's doing everything that they possibly can. I mean, down to you see a woman walking on the red carpet in her fur jacket and someone comes up and throws red paint on it. You know what I'm talking about. Some people are more extreme about it than others. But either way it goes, everybody's got their views, everybody's got their opinions, but ultimately it comes down to this, y'all. Animal cruelty, animal experimentation, there is no excuse for animal cruelty, first and foremost. These children growing up to become serial killers, it started in their home. And we can do nothing about it, y'all. What someone else raises their child, y'all know all about. The murder of these children, being abused, all these terrible things that happen to human beings. And yet, when a person gets convicted of murder, what's the first damn thing the defense team wants to bring up in sentencing is that they had this torturous, god-awful childhood and all the animals that they killed and all of this and that was just a direct result from what? Another human being what? Cruel to a human. You can tell a lot about someone on how they treat animals. Does that mean because KJ eats ribeye steak and I like bacon and you know, I just absolutely love fried chicken that I am a cruel woman? No. I'm a carnivore and a herbivore. I eat it. I love it. Others argue that animal experimentation is wrong because it violates basic principles of ethical research. That makes a lot of sense. But then again, we've got vaccines, we have treatments for breast cancer, we have all of these things, and it was all due to animal experimentation. It's harmful. This is the reason they say you shouldn't experiment on animals. This is common sense. It's harmful to the research subjects. Y'all, I would absolutely, no one can make me ever look or walk into a research facility and watch them do what they're doing to these animals. You know, I was talking to Wayne about it and I said, do these people, I mean, are they putting the, common sense of just empathy and the empathy that's supposed to be in childhood for children before they start killing animals and grow up to be serial killers, the empathy, do they just put all that aside when they put their white coat on and that they can actually not feel anything as they're doing these things to these cats? Arguments against animal experimentation, it's not beneficial to them, and it's not. I guarantee, I'll say it again. I don't have the statistics right in front of me, y'all, but it's just common sense. How many experiments have been done to innocent animals that never brought anything? You know, how about this? Try this on for size. If you can't experiment on humans, you know, unless I guess the human could say, yes, I want to try your new drug, pharma. What is it, right to die or right to live or whatever it was, these laws now where when all this disease and stuff, there's nothing left to do. There's a law now that you can try experimental drugs. Well, if humans want to do that, let them do that. But the animals have no say-so. They have no say-so. Human beings being experimented on hasn't really, as far as I know, happened since Nazi Germany, when people were experimented on. That is a fact that's in history. It's forced on the animals, not the people. I'm talking about the animals now. It's forced on the animals, and the animals cannot give consent. Now, right there, you're in a minutia of legality here. I think it was several years back, someone was trying to get through the courts that this monkey had, they wanted to establish that an animal could consent or not, which it never went anywhere. And, you know, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other on that. All I can say is that animals do not consent to being tortured and murdered in an experimentation, or these people that grow up the way they do, whether they're children, young adults, or even older adults that abuse animals. My solution to animal cruelty is every damn state in the union, and I would pray around the world that there is a registry for people that have been convicted of animal cruelty, so that law enforcement have that tool available to them, and the public at large does. If I could go over here on my computer and type in sexual predators in my neighborhood, then I should be able to know if a neighbor down the street, old Billy Bob over there, has been convicted of murdering his dog or doing something terrible to one of his pets. Mary Sadler says, hell, it used to be vets and mental patients they used. Preppy Girl 13 says, I agree with you. I eat meat, but I do not abuse animals. Now listen, y'all. I'm one of these types that, you know, I think about, you know, what did Jesus eat meat? And he did. Growing up from a child on up, every Passover he had roasted lamb. That's a fact. He ate fish, you know. But he also was a big he liked vegetables and stuff of that sort. But I think about these things, and I ask myself, what can I do? What can I do to make it better for the animals of the world? Well, first of all, I'd have to start by saying, what can I do on a local, state, or federal level within my country? Because there's really, I don't know what I could do in the world other than just bring it out. We talk about the murders of children and adults in these criminal cases. I should be able to talk about this and learn something from it and ask myself, okay, you want to bitch and complain about how people are cruel to animals or they're using them as experiments and stuff. What can I do? First and foremost, if any of y'all, and I'm going to step right up to the plate starting today, all the way into the rest of my life, I'm going to make it a point to send emails, letters, whatever, to my legislature about how I don't approve of taxpayer funding on this bullshit experimentation that don't lead to nothing. And if they're going to do it, they better damn well let us know why they're doing it. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm also going to do what I can in terms of charity to these rehoming organizations, the shelters, whatever I can do, I'm going to try. Whatever money I can provide, I will do that. Will it ease my conscience at all? No, it won't. Because ultimately, y'all, for the rest of your life and mine, we're going to see the headlines. Or we're going to know someone who has done something unthinkable to a precious little bunny rabbit or a dog or a cat. I am outraged that this experimentation is happening on a university campus that's federally funded through my taxpayer money. There is nothing to gain in this trial and error. All the cats, the dogs, the birds, the mice, the rabbits, they don't matter. What matters is what? Trying to get more vaccines, more better quality of life for who? The humans? Well, like I said, we're all going to die. Does that mean we just like, okay, we're going to die, so let's stop trying to figure out how to cure cancer? I'll tell you this as I close. I guarantee you there is more cancer in human beings than there are in animals. Pollution in and of itself has created hybrids and these strange things over there in California. I just read an article the other day where the squirrels are becoming carnivorous. Oh, the squirrels were just fine and dandy when they were eating the nuts and the bark and the vegetation. They're sweet, innocent animals. But by God, if you eat a slaughtered cow or whatever, that means that damn squirrel over there that's eating meat now, there's something wrong with that squirrel. Give me a break. Hi, Ann Gibson. Denise Gray says everyone can do something. I want y'all to understand that the reason I bring this forward is because it's something I firmly believe needs to be talked about. And also down the road, as you travel through the crime genre community and you start to hear these cases, or you're researching why somebody would do something terrible like they've done, look at the animal aspect. Look if there's any evidence there. Because I'm telling y'all, it's just uncanny how many of these murderers have done the unthinkable to these precious little innocent animals. Mary Sadler says, don't buy any of the products. Well, there are 3 countries, I think it's, I know one of them's Canada, where they've outlawed any testing on animals for cosmetics. Y'all, how vain is that? Y'all, we've all used the lotions, the shampoos, the makeups, which I don't wear much makeup, but we've all used products in the cosmetic industry. And I never stopped to think how they knew that it was okay for a human being to put lotion on their face. Y'all, these animals, these poor animals. Just think of the products that they're testing on animals that end up just absolutely burning these animals up. Basically, through some kind of chemical reaction. Oh, got to go back to the drawing board. It just took the rawhide right off this cute little white bunny rabbit. There's so many things that can be done. And my hope is that all 50 states will absolutely make public a registry of, and not that I want to sit on here and say, okay, all I'm saying is law enforcement can look at this registry and say, yep, we need to keep an eye on this person. This guy that tied this dog behind his truck and drug him down the road and killed him, and he was just dragging him dead. Y'all, or how about this person over here duct taped his dog's mouth together because he was barking, and the dog ended up dead and suffocated through asphyxiation. There's some evil ass, crazy ass mental cases out here too. And I know that God wants us to be good stewards of the animals. I don't believe that God wants us to treat the animals better than humanity. I don't believe that, but that's my opinion. I think it goes hand in hand in some instances. But if the society cannot learn some empathy, compassion, and all of that with the preciousness of a small little kitten, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble. Ann Gibson says it's not just about experiments. I am a member of the Guide Dog Association. I foster and rehome the puppies that don't pass the training. Well, that's wonderful, Ann Gibson. You're putting your passion to help animals to work. And you know what, y'all? I know some of us can't get out here and do stuff like you, Ann Gibson. Some of us can't. Some of us are unable to. But sometimes just a prayer. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but it's not, y'all. Prayer is power. And we can also pray for all God's creation. That God would show mankind a more merciful and loving way to deal with their stewardship of the animals of the world. Stephanie Willis says, I think a registry is a great idea, but I think in some areas law enforcement needs to understand their specific laws and what their responsibilities are in regards to those laws. And I think that's a great point. It depends on what part of the country or possibly in the world. You know, some of these rural areas, in the county police officers and stuff that come out here in the boondocks out here, they might not see things the same way as someone who is in a city or this or that. And the laws need to be emphasized so that law enforcement officers, if they come up onto a scene, they can see the red flags. There should be continuing education, not only for spotting animal abuse, but there should be an emphasis put on, if these people are going to do this shit and hurt and torture and murder animals, then we've got to keep an eye on it. We need to keep an eye on this person, because if they'll do it to an animal, why are they doing it to an animal? Because that is their way of taking it out on a innocent, precious animal. Y'all, people have taken out things on little human children. So if they'll do it to animals, they'll do it to children, they'll do it to innocent people. We've seen it time and time again. Yes, Mary Sadler says there's a t-shirt with your view is very simple and effective as far as spreading the info. That's a great idea. You know, being a walk-in advertisement. You know, something like maybe, you know, animals have feelings too. You know, like I put on the community wall, it takes nothing away from a human to be kind to an animal. I mean, what kind of message is that? That is a good, positive message. Mary Sadler says animals hurt too. So anyway, as we move forward to get justice through understanding, y'all, let's summarize this as in terms of people that commit these heinous, evil acts. 9 times out of 10, they started young, or in some time in their life, they had no compassion, no kind of feeling toward hurting a living pet or a living thing. And then experimentation. Y'all, I understand it's animal experimentation has to be something that needs to be highly regulated so that there are some standards, some ethical standards there. I mean, if Canada can have a law against any company in Canada not using animals for cosmetics, the United States should do the same. But guess what, y'all? Money. Nobody gives a shit about the suffering of animals over their damn bottom line. And I'm sick of it. These people, They come out, they ain't got to be the ones. They just get some cold, fact-based scientists in there who don't have any compassion in their heart to do these things to these cats and dogs and monkeys and mice and rabbits and all of this stuff. The Bethy Boop says animals are unconditional. And that brings up a good point there, the Bethy Boop. It's how humanity sees the animals. Is if it's all about, we don't know if torturing this cat is going to produce anything, then don't freaking do it. Don't do it. Those poor cats. I mean, Midnight came home yesterday after being spayed, and I had to give her a little pain pill. She has got her, where they had the IV in her, she shaved here. You know what it looks like when a cat gets spayed. She's barely getting around. It tears my heart out, but I know she's going to get better. And then you read this about taxpayer funds where they're doing these things to these cats. It's disgusting, and it's wrong. And GHZ says animals were made to be eaten. And I'll tell you, in my faith, when Adam and Eve had to leave the garden and all that, they had to clothe themselves with animal hides. They had to eat that. Y'all, I see a big difference between a diet and nutrition and somebody coming over here in the news headlines just absolutely starving an animal to death, and when the police find them in the cage, it's just pathetic, y'all. And I have no sympathy at all for anyone that would hurt any animal. But again, it's all about motive, and old KJ does eat meat, and I hope that for those on here that are vegan, understand that if you think that eating meat is wrong, then you are saying something's wrong about the animals out here in the world that are carnivorous. You can't have it both ways. And we could branch off in a million different directions about animal cruelty. My 2 points are, number one, you want to know if a murderer started out with animal cruelty, or if there was some kind of sign or red flag. They've got absolute factual studies of serial killers and all of that. And also, just be clear. That's what I want to be. Just be clear when I say that if you live in the United States, your federal dollars are going toward the torture and mutilation and disgusting practices of animal experimentation where it goes nothing. Nowhere. Nowhere. Oh, it's just trial and error. That's all it is, right? So, as we end this live stream, I want to thank y'all for hearing me out. I felt I just feel passionate about it. I've got a tiny little itty bitty platform here, and I have people willing to teach me or me teach them about things that I've learned or things that you've learned. And this is going to be in the forefront of my mind from here on out. I'm going to think about what I can do as a human, because I can't control other humans in their own homes torturing and mutilating and hurting their pets. I can't control that. All I can do is give toward organizations, get the word out. And I know for a fact the demographics and the people on this channel, I would say at least 9 out of 10 of y'all have a fur family member, fur baby of your own. I know there's some very loving, compassionate people on here. And if I can sit here for 5 years and talk about what mankind can do to mankind through these terrible murders that happen, that we study about, then I should be able to talk about the murderous, disgusting, evilness of some of these things that go on in experimentation of animals, and how our country needs to catch up to all these individuals out here that want to do animal cruelty to their pets. They should have their name on a registry, and people should be able to know who their neighbor is, and should be able to know that that can, it doesn't always, but that can lead to someone murdering somebody else. If you had a neighbor who had a kid out in the backyard torturing a little bird or whatever, then it needs to be brought to law enforcement's attention. Maybe we can cut it off at the pass. Who knows? But anyway, I love you all. It was a tough subject to talk about. But I pray that you will learn something, and maybe this coming up year, you'll be able to see things a little bit more clearly. Maybe contact your representatives or others that are funding, because as taxpayers, we're funding. We need to find out who is doing what for the money, all on the torture of these animals. It's just the way it is. It's sad. It's pathetic. And I can't see how God would be pleased with any of that. I just don't. It's wicked and it's wrong. So, I love you all. I hope y'all have a great weekend. I'm going to be getting with the Rays on New Year's Eve. You know KJ has to do it for all those that are going to be alone on New Year's Eve. Oh, KJ's going to be spending a little time with you before 2024 is out the door. So I love you. Thank y'all for being here. And keep on looking.